Once again, good afternoon. This is Ivan Shore from Bit by Bit.
And this is Bruce Steinfeld, president of Bit by Bit.
And again, we want to thank everyone for joining. There are people joining, but we want to respect the time. We've always tried to stay on target with these 30-minute webinar showcases. First of all, I want to thank everyone for attending. A lot of folks that are joining today are existing Bit by Bit customers, so thank you. And we also want to welcome those that are meeting us for the first time. We think it's appropriate that we started off 2018 with our webinar showcase covering quite a few cybersecurity topics, and we will be wrapping this year up with cybersecurity as well, specifically around dark web monitoring. So what's today's agenda? Let's take a look. So we'll give you a bit-by-bit overview. We have a funny video to show you, and then we're going to get into the dark web. And what we're really going to be talking about, just to frame this up, is some of you may know this already, some of you this may be new information, but unfortunately, one of the epidemics now going on in cybersecurity has to do with our passwords, all of our passwords, being stolen, sold on the dark web, being used against us, and causing real big problems. And that's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover how this is happening, how it's being used, and what we can do to address the problem. So let's start off. It's great that Bruce is here because there's no better person to give the bit-by-bit overview.
Thank you, Ivan. And again, thank you everyone for joining. We appreciate that. Bit by Bit is now 31 years old. I started the company back in 1987, and back then we were primarily doing application development. We've grown through the years into a full consulting firm with the specialties that you see. We continue to do application development, but security is a big focus as it's an extension to our managed services, as well as our enterprise customers, some of which on the seminar as well, where we provide fax solutions and other enterprise solutions. So our clients range the full range from 5 users up to enterprise. We're primarily based in New York, but we have offices around the country, and we're especially happy about a long tenure of a lot of our employees. And many of our employees, and I think several people on the phone have worked with them, have been here quite a long time. With that being said, we're going to turn it back over to Ivan. He's going to talk more about dark web.
Yeah, and just a quick housekeeping note. You are in listen-only mode, but as the presentation goes through, you can type into the GoToMeeting box any questions that you have. There's a lot of content here. It's going to beg a lot of questions, and certainly if we can't cover it all on today's call, we will be happy to connect with people offline as well. So we're going to start things off with a funny video. We're going to show a couple minutes. Some of you may have seen it, some of you may not, and it really sets the stage. Bruce has seen it, has set the stage for today's presentation.
You know, we've been hearing a lot about cybersecurity lately, largely because of what happened to Sony. Companies and individuals are more concerned about the safety and privacy of their information than ever. President Obama has unveiled a number of new proposals this week to crack down on hackers, and he plans to address this in the State of the Union speech on Tuesday. And it's great that the government is working on this, but the truth of the matter is we need to do a better job of protecting ourselves. You know, the most popular password in the United States is password 123. And as long as that's the case, we're vulnerable. So today we sent a camera out on Hollywood Boulevard to help people by asking them to tell us their password. And this is how that went.
We're talking about cybersecurity today and how safe people's passwords are. What is one of your online passwords currently?
It is my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Chihuahua Papillon.
And what's its name?
Jameson.
Jameson. And where'd you go to school?
I went to school back in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What school?
Hempfield Area Senior High School.
Oh, when did you graduate?
In 2009.
Oh, great.
It's like my cat's name and then just like a random number.
Okay.
But,
Have you had this cat for a while?
yeah, she's my childhood pet.
Aw. And what's her name?
Her name is Jolie.
Jolie. So like a password of yours would be Jolie and then a number.
Yeah.
Like number 1?
Like my birthday.
Oh, when is your birthday?
June 12th.
Oh, nice. And what year were you born?
95.
Oh, great. So Jolie, 6, 12, 95.
Yes.
Got it.
So you mean to give my password right now? No, I cannot do that.
But we all want to know what it is so we can tell you if it's strong or not.
Oh my goodness. let me think. Okay, one is Tel Aviv. Yeah. 468, and then Israel. It's only 3, but it's, you know, it's for me it's strong enough.
Ireland, 1, 2, 3, 4. Gemma, 1, 2, 3. Spelled Gemma.
Okay, so what do we have here? We talked about passwords being breached. So what you see on the screen now are the largest breaches of all time. Unfortunately for Yahoo, they're on top of a list that they really don't want to be on. They had 3 billion credentials, records that were leaked as a result of the breach in 2013, another 500 million in 2014. And some of you are probably familiar with this. I know I was personally affected by the Anthem breach in 2015. Everyone remembers Equifax. 143 million records were breached last year. And just this year alone, 150 million records were breached for Under Armour. So this is where the problem starts. This is how our passwords, our emails, and our personal information ends up in the dark web, because after the bad guys hack into these major corporations and steal this information, they take this information and they put it on the dark web for sale. That's what's going on. That's how the problem starts. And so, you know, what is the dark web? And some of you have been hearing about the dark web. I can assure you you're going to be hearing more and more about the dark web. I'll just say this, and Bruce will give a little bit more of a definition here, but for today's purposes, and I think the most simplistic way that I can put it is this: it's a marketplace for illegal activity. That's how I would want everyone to think about it as we go through this presentation. It does other things. Bruce, you want to elaborate on that?
Really what you're having there is, you know, with the internet, you have a lot of internet computers, and it's a way for people to communicate anonymously. So there's a lot of illegal transactions taking place through the dark web, and it's untraceable. So, you know, and it's grown, and as we'll go through, we'll see how information could be exploited through the dark web.
And we have a blog on our website, which is pretty comprehensive, and certainly you can do online research. There's a tremendous amount on the dark web. And again, I think you'll be hearing more and more about it. It's unfortunately making the news more and more often. So what happens is these passwords that are now stolen from the major companies are put on sale for the dark web, and then hacks take place, because as you can see in the first bullet point here, 80% of hacking-related breaches now are taking place because of either stolen passwords or guessable passwords. So this is the main root of the problem, is that our passwords are for sale, they're being purchased in the dark web, and they're being used to do bad things. We're going to elaborate on what those bad things are shortly to your businesses. And, you know, the costs on this slide are an aggregate, what it's going to cost everyone. Later on, we're going to give you some examples of what it might cost a small business, a medium business, or a large business. And even that number of 2.1 trillion for 2019 is estimated to be closer to 3 trillion. And in 2020, they're now talking about that being $6 trillion. So the costs are significant. So what happens? Take a look at this comment here. 76% of people will use the same password for most, if not all, websites. And this is a big, big, big part of the problem. So if my password has been stolen off of LinkedIn, it's purchased on the dark web, and now, or any of these other sites, they're hacked. And now I use the same password at my bank, or I use my same password at my insurance company, or anywhere else, my account can be accessed and bad things can happen. Now let me keep going here so we can really wrap our minds around at a company level. Let's take a look at these 9 categories and think what could happen if a bad guy can hack into my payroll, my ADP, my banking services, my email. All right, what can be done? And we're going to keep going and try to help paint this picture to understand how the stealing of our passwords is being used to wreak havoc. Here's a list, but Bruce is just going to tell you a real life story that was told to us recently.
Right. So we actually took on a new client, and this happened to them a few months before we took them over. they were corresponding with one of their customers, and they had were owed some money with their retainer. It was around $30,000. And what happened was, they had the correspondence back and forth, and then an email was sent from the customer from our client to their customer, and it said, please wire that money to this new bank. We have a new bank, and we need you to wire the balance to the $30,000 to this account. Unfortunately, that email was not sent from our client. It was sent from a hacker who had broken into their email and sent that, and the money, and then they deleted the email and deleted all traces of the interaction, and the money was sent, and it's a mess. It's a complete mess.
Yeah, basically it was an accounting firm,
Yeah.
and one of their clients owed them $30,000.
Yep.
And they had some email correspondence about reconciling the outstanding bill, and they agreed, yes, no problem, we owe the money, we'll pay it to you.
That's right.
And meanwhile, the hacker was watching all the correspondence, poses as the accounting firm, basically says, as per our agreement the other day, please wire the money to this bank account, and steals $30,000. So this just kind of was this was brought to us, a real life story of what's going on with the theft of passwords and what can be done with thefts of passwords. So what do we do about it? What can we do about it? Well, NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, their recommendation is to change passwords once a compromise occurs. Well, the problem is, how do you know when a compromise has taken place? It may be too late once that compromise has taken place. And up until probably, early first quarter, second quarter of this year, there were no real efficient, effective, cost-effective ways to search the dark web and normalize the information that's being pulled from the different areas there and take a look at it until recently. And this is when we really jumped in head first. We were really flabbergasted by the information that we found out, and we've begun doing dark web monitoring. So what is dark web monitoring? We are doing 24/7, 365 monitoring of compromised email credentials. Email credentials meaning passwords, emails, personally identifiable information. So our engines scour the dark web, peer-to-peer groups, criminal chat rooms, illegal black market sites, places where our passwords are being put for sale, and we look for these passwords. And by looking for these passwords, we're able to report on them. So let me give you an example of what we do first. The first thing that we do is we search on a company's domain, and we do something called a live search. And here's the result of an example live search. So what you can see here is, and we protected the names here and put in your domain, but this is a sample of a report, a live search. That report comes back. And I would focus you on the third column over, password hit. So what our live search tool does is it takes your company domain and it brings back the first 100 email breaches that have taken place, and it shows the results. On the very first one, the person was using some uppercase and lowercase, and even though we're only showing the first 4 characters on this slide, and we only see the first 4 characters when we do the live search, the entire password is on sale for the dark web, and we actually have access when you order the service in our ongoing monitoring tool to see the complete password.
And it's important to note that, because sometimes we show it to people and they say, well, my IT company or my IT person has this covered, they're really good. This has nothing to do with them or how good of a job they're doing, because you can't stop someone from going on LinkedIn and having an account. And those are the sites that are getting breached: LinkedIn, Yahoo, everything Ivan showed you on the previous screen. And no matter how good of a job they're doing, that your information's out there. And this is an example of how it's being stolen.
And when we have the same, when we show this report to our clients and when we run the appliance ourselves, it is jaw-dropping, because people look at it and typically the response is, oh my God, that's my password. And it's really an invasion of privacy. It's a horrible feeling. And the problem is that people will then use these passwords to break in. And let me show you something and point out something. So if you see the second from the bottom, Flintstone, and several of these, you will see non-characters or traditional alphabetical characters. You'll see letters and numbers. And what those are encrypted encrypted passwords. And you think you might be, great, well, they're encrypted, that's good news. Well, here's the problem. There are websites out there that are used specifically for unencrypting passwords. Here's one, it's well known, it's called CrackStation. And I actually took the encrypted password for Flintstone at yourdomain.com. I put it in here. I click crack the code, and it literally tells me in the result this person's full password, YAWYI51. Now here's, not that we need to see this to prove this point out, because I know we're all guilty of using the same password. So in June of 2016, Flintstone used that password and was breached on LinkedIn in 2016. Take a look a few listings above. In March of 2018, you can see the same 4 characters. So this person is likely using either exactly the same email or using the same prefix, which makes it very guessable. And this is the problem, right? Passwords being breached, sold on the dark web, then they're available to the bad guys. We gave some examples, and they break in. It can be encrypted. Here's the cost of a breach for different size companies. And there's some logical information here in the sense that bigger companies have a bigger expense because of the cost of the breach. Smaller companies are being attacked more often because they have less resources to fight them off. And while the low end of a breach, according to this, is $38,000, and for a mid to large size company it could be $570,000 and so on and so forth. The problem is a smaller company cannot sustain these type of expenses, right? If you search online, you're going to see a lot of articles about this. And the problem is a breach of this nature can literally put a company out of business. You're talking about lost customers, missed orders. Your systems can be down for days or weeks or months. The city of Atlanta was down for months, if anybody knows about that story. And then on top of it, you have the expense and energy and effort of having to repair your company's reputation. So you can really see how this can be a problem if you're breached. So what are we doing specifically? What we do is once you start this service, we run a full report, not like the one you just saw, but a full report with full passwords going back for 10 years. And what we do is we review that, and we go back and we change all the passwords that we need to change. So we start off with an initial, call it remediation. Then what we do is we continue to monitor 24/7, 365. This way we can get information to you before a catastrophe occurs like the one that we just showed you at a small business spending tens, 20s, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what we do is we continue to do the continuous monitoring, and we notify you on a daily basis if there's been any new breaches. Any new breaches, we set up a secure protocol, we report it to you, we review the findings with you, and you take the necessary actions, which more often than not is to change the password wherever you're using that password, that site and other sites. We also will send you a monthly clean bill of health of that is applicable. So let's summarize what our service offers. You start the service and you get a complete 10-year report of all compromised credentials. We then review that with you with the findings and make recommendations. Call that phase 1. Phase 2 is we continue to monitor 24/7, 365 and report daily on any new breaches. Like Bruce said, we can't stop these breaches from happening to LinkedIn and Yahoo and Facebook and so on and so forth, and those passwords being for sale. But what we can do is report them immediately and change it so no catastrophe takes place like we saw in the other email. Slide, excuse me. So what's it cost? You can see here, here's the pricing. It's broken down by users. For 1 to 250, it's 100, so on and so forth. And this is per domain. 250 to 500 is 200 a month. 501 to 1,000 is 300. If you have more than 1,000, please give us a call. These are the monthly costs to have the service, and this is per domain. We are offering a webinar special until December 15th. Anybody that subscribes for this service will get 1 month free. I'll show you how you can place your orders if you choose to, and use the code webinar 2018. So next steps, and we're going to do Q&A. Hopefully we caught up. Again, so sorry about that disconnect that really threw us off. So we apologize for that and having to pick up the pace here. So first of all, the best thing to do is contact your rep. We have salespeople who you work with on a regular basis. We covered a lot of information. You may want to have an extended conversation about dark web monitoring. You may want to see your report. You may want to revisit some other security offerings that we discussed at the beginning of the year, such as security awareness training, as an example. If you're not sure who your rep is, because maybe you're new to Bit by Bit, just reach out to us. You can email us at info@bitxbit.com, as well as we have our 800 number and our 212 number. If you want, we'd love to show you. Again, it's an eye-opening experience. It's critical. We run it for your company's domain. We do not charge you for running a free scan. Again, if you go to our website and go to our services page and go to Dark Web Monitoring, on that page is a form. You can fill out that form, and we'll set up a call, and we will review with you the finding. It's really great to find out, because if you have nothing out there, it's peace of mind. And if you do have stuff out there, you could start changing those words right away. And if you already know about this and you've been considering doing this and you want to order, you can go to this link here and go to darkweb.bitxbit.com. It's a page where you can place an order. You put in your company's domain, you put in the webinar 2018, and you'll get the first month at no charge. So there's some questions that have come in. Let me take a look at these questions. So,
by the way, you can ask a question by typing it into the console there.
I see one now. Here it is. So the question is this service for my business email or my personal email? Bruce, you want to?
Well, yes. So generally, you're going to give us your company's domain, and we're going to monitor that. But we also allow you to do up to 5 personal email addresses. So that could be a Gmail account or any other account. And those are specific individual accounts, so we'll monitor those as well. And if you want it, when you do the free report, if you want a free report with your personal email, that's fine too.
Yes. And I appreciate didn't see it now. Apparently we've been hacked. I don't think we were hacked. I think it was a technical problem, but Ed, thank you. That is funny. We're trying to finally lighten up from that.
Yeah.
There is another question that came in, which is, will this show breaches of former employees, and should I care about that?
So yes, because you don't know what those former employees had access to and what websites, for example, your bank account, your ADP or whatever. So you have to make sure that those employees, and we've seen this, have been deleted from those accounts. So it's sometimes an eye-opener that maybe they haven't. Sometimes people do not remove accounts from all the different places they exist. Sometimes it could even be, your domain could be registered to an employee, which is never a good idea. And that could be compromised as well.
Right. So we got 1 or 2 more questions. Again, somehow we've caught up. We do plan on wrapping up at 12:30. So if you have any additional questions, please send them in. Let's see. I got another one here, Bruce. Oh, so once my data has been put on the dark web, can it be removed?
So generally not. It's there, and sometimes it's only there temporarily, but it's there. Some of these guys are archiving data, so that's why you can't remove it. You wouldn't even attempt to remove it. However, what you can do is change your passwords and mitigate, limit the issues around that.
All right. So we'll see. It looks like someone's typing. If anything else comes in, just to recap again, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. Our sincerest apologies about the technical problem. Even more frustrating.
You can watch that Jimmy Kimmel online.
That
video.
Jimmy Kimmel. You can Google the passwords, and again, our apologies. Again, what we hope we convey to you is that unfortunately, passwords are being stolen through major breaches that we have absolutely no control over. There's nothing any of us can do about it at this point. They're then being sold on the dark web, and then people are buying them, and then they're doing bad things. We gave a few examples where they're hacking into our systems, and they're doing things that are costing our businesses significant money, and really, stealing things from us. And so what we're doing is we're offering the monitoring 24/7, 365. We do an initial search. We'll show you everything that was already been breached over the last 10 years. That's the summary of the services here. We'll review the findings, make recommendations, and then we'll continue to monitor and let you know on a daily basis if there's a new breach. The other question that came in was some individuals didn't join on time. And so, yes, we've recorded this, foibles and all, yep. And we will post this, so check soon. I'll also say that we are actually putting out a white paper ebook next month on Darkweb. So continue to come visit our site. We'll let you know when we have some more stuff. We appreciate everybody coming on today. We're going to stick to our 30 minutes here. We didn't see any additional questions. Let me just check one more time if anything did come in. No, it looks like, let's see here. No, that's it. Where do we find it? Okay, great. Yeah, so people are asking how to request a report. So the way that you request your report is to go to request a free scan. Again, if you go to our website under services and solutions, in the drop down is dark web monitoring. On the dark web monitoring page is a form. Simply fill out the form and we'll generate the report. Or again, you can email your sales rep, email us at info@bit@bit. Last time, thank you very much. Be safe, change your passwords, don't use the same passwords, and have a great holiday season.
Yes, have a great day.